With the fall season of streaming rapidly approaching, a lot of sports parents, it's a great time for us to look at our away game streaming setup for mobile live streaming to go where we don't have space of our own. I'm sitting in the stands on the visitor side of our football stadium here in my hometown, and I want to make the point that it's possible for us to have a full streaming setup. I'm going to run a 2-camera setup today. I'm going to run my Slate AXT travel router. I'm going to mount everything to this tripod. We're going to talk about the tripod and a couple of the mounts that I have here, and I'm going to point you in the direction of what I think would be a good, solid purchase for you. But I want us to prove that we don't have to have a bay in the press box. We don't have to have a press box itself in order to have counter space to set up and still have a quality live stream that the folks back home are going to want to see. And away games are the place that this really shines, because so often grandparents might be able to make it to the home games, but they struggle to get to those away games. A couple of years ago, our football district stretched about 2.5 hours down the highway. So from where we were to where our away games were, 3 of them that year, we were 2.5 hours away. And we live in East Texas. There are folks in Central and West Texas who have to travel much farther than that. So oftentimes, if someone can tune in from the couch instead of making that trek for a football game that ends at 10 o'clock at night and there's still a 3-hour drive to get home, well, we're a whole lot better off because we're keeping them off of the highway. So let's look at what this is going to be for our away game, our travel game, mobile live stream setup. I'm almost finished setting up my tripod. You'll notice that I have a Mevo core and an OBSBot tail air. The 2 cameras are less important than what the 2 cameras actually do. I want a camera that has a little bit of an optical zoom so I can punch in a little bit and get a closer view of what's happening on the field. And I want a camera that doesn't have, or that I'm not going to use the optical zoom on, because I'm going to use it for a farther away. This camera, when I'm centered up here at the 50-yard line, I want to be able to catch about 35 to 35, maybe 40 to 40, but I need this middle swath of the field caught by the camera that doesn't have optical zoom, or the one I'm not going to use optical zoom with. When I pan over this way, I want to be able to catch everything that's happening on this end of the field with my zoomed out view, but on my zoomed in view, I want to be able to punch into what's happening inside the 25-yard line. For the non-optical zoom camera, anything past the 25-yard line is really too small on the screen, so that's when this camera gets switched to, and we have the ability to catch anything that happens from the 25 all the way through the goal post. It's a great shot if you're using a lens that will zoom in just a little bit. I actually forgot my zoom lens. This is my studio lens, but we're going to go with it anyway. And the same way, when I center this one up, I shouldn't have much more than just the 45 to the 45 here. I should be looking on a kickoff. I should see both lines, and that's about all. So as I'm panning around with my zoomed camera, I catch a much better shot zoomed in across the field. There are some shots here of me zooming in even farther and catching what's happening in the huddle or on the line before the ball is snapped. Then I can switch back to my other camera and show what happens for the play. And it gives me this all the way up and down the field. If I go ahead and take the time to set both of my cameras up so that my zoomed camera is really pretty much the center of my non-zoomed camera. So no matter where I move it, I can go to either camera and know that I have the ball, the play, in frame. So that's what the 2 cameras do. Now let's talk about how they hook up to everything. So this year, I'm running this small rig tripod. Here's the product page for it on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description if this one is interesting to you. It is a fantastic travel tripod for video. And the difference between this one and all the other tripods that I have, this is the first time I've had built in a video head. I've bought video heads to go on my photo tripods, but they all have ball head mounts, and it's just that neck that goes up to the ball head that just makes me nervous because it's so skinny. This is a nice, beefy unit here, and it's got such a smooth, fluid-filled, whatever this is, that allows such smooth and easy panning. Now, it's not so easy that I'm afraid if I bump it, it's just going to fly around. It does take just a smidge of effort, but then I can lock it in when I get it to where I want it if I need to. It also will unlock here, gives me the ability to adjust up and down, which is also remarkably smooth. So it's just such a smooth tripod with a video head. That's one of the reasons that I went with this. It is, right now at least, less than $100 on Amazon. It'd be a great investment to have for all of your live streaming, and it gives us enough space here that we can start to mount some things on it. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So I do have the ability to adjust. These fold up and in. This actually will uncollar and come all the way down. If I need to catch low shots, I can mount my camera underneath. It's a very versatile tripod. In addition to this tripod, I also picked up a little bit longer small rig ball head mount, double jointed ball head mount, in order to mount my streaming device. Now today I'm going to show you two different options for streaming for your away game setup, both of which are incredibly portable, because it is mobile live streaming after all, and portable is the name of the game in mobile live streaming. So this gives me a little bit of space to get away from the tripod if I want to, and then I'm going to be able to mount whatever I want to this arm. Also a small rig design, and I'm going to have the link in the description for this one as well. Here's the product page on it, and it was a great purchase for me to make. That's giving me some great flexibility in my mobile live stream. So I'm going to set this up. That should be pretty close to right. Go ahead and tighten that down pretty good. The one thumb screw tightens not only the ball joint here, but also both of your swivels here. So when it's loose, everything is loose, and when this is tight, everything is tight. Then I picked up this iPad mount. I've owned some spring-loaded iPad mounts that were just cheap and I wasn't very impressed with. And I did a little research, and once again, it's a small rig product. I promise Small Rig is not sponsoring this video. I bought all of this stuff with my own hard-earned money, but they've got some good products, and I'm really pleased with them. Every clamp I have here is a Small Rig clamp, and every piece that I'm mounting stuff to seems to be Small Rig today, or my own personal design, so and 3D print. But let me show you what this is. It is thumb screw, and then not spring mounted, but it is adjustable for big iPad, small iPad, iPad mini, Android tablet, whatever it might be. And then it tightens back up nice and sturdy. You have two cold shoe mounts here. We're going to put our Rode Video microphone on one of those cold shoe mounts here in just a moment. We'll plug it in to our Mevo core there through the 3.5mm jack. It also has the quick release for the top of the tripod if you want to use that. It's cut out for that, so you can just put it on if you're just using your iPad, but I'm not. I'm going to put it on this 1/4-20 mount. And the beautiful thing is, I have a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom. I have two 1/4-20 mounts on each side. So I could mount this in many different configurations just with those. I have three 1/4-20 mounts on the back, and then there are three 1/4-20 mounts on the top where I can add more accessories if that's what I need. So it's a really well-constructed all-aluminum device holder. It's going to give me the ability to not only put my iPad on here, but other accessories as well, such as this microphone that I'm about to put on here and show you that little setup. So let's get this put on. Get all this situated where it's kind of at eye view. That might be pretty good. If I'm using my readers, I'll have to lean back and catch that. I might want it a little bit lower when I'm using my readers, but this ought to get me started. Let's get this iPad out of its case. Get that thumb screw turned. Now let's get this mounted here. All right. Now, so I can go ahead and put my, can you still see me over there? I can go ahead and put my cold shoe mount here. I mean my shotgun mic here on the cold shoe mount. I can run that in the back of the Mevo core. And now I have my sound, I have my cameras, I have my control device, I have everything set up in addition to my MiFi hotspot and my Slate AXT travel router. I'm just running that today to show you. I don't really need that to record this, but if I were streaming, this would be the perfect setup. I'm going to run Speedify on the iPad that is going to combine the cellular connection in my iPad with the data that I'm getting out of my MiFi device. I have also installed Speedify on this travel router, not using Smoothwind, by the way. Ryan Houchin gave a walkthrough of how to put this on, different than Speedwind. It's a little bit easier process to go through. I'm a little bit more confident that I'm going to be picking up whatever I plug into it automatically. I don't have to worry about going in and logging onto the web interface and making sure. I have seen that pick it back up every time so far. It's not failed, so I feel much more confident about this particular installation of Speedify on the Slate AXT travel router. I'll give a link to Ryan's walkthrough as well. I've already shared it once on my YouTube homepage as well. Before I show you the second option that we have in a mobile live stream setup that everything mounts to a tripod, let me go ahead and mention, if you're going to be streaming day games before it really gets cool in the fall, I do highly recommend some kind of heat protection. I have a 3D printed heat shield for the Core. I have a 3D printed heat shield protector for the Mevo Start. I have a 3D printed heat shield protector for the VM33 and 46. And if these cameras are going to be sitting in the sun, you really need some heat shielding to keep them from overheating and shutting down on you. If you need that kind of protection for yourself, go over to jdubhoffman.com/merchandise. It'll be a link in the description, and you'll be able to send me an email that starts the ordering process if that's something that you need. Now let's take this iPad back off, and I'm going to show you one more option that we have that's a very mobile friendly, portable live streaming option. So we'll set that here. It is still recording kind of what we're going on here, so I've got some shots if I need it. But I'm going to bring out another device. It's a device that I reviewed just last week. The folks at OBSBot have released the OBSBot Talent. It is a Magewell Director Mini hardware device, but it is firmwared to highlight some of the great features of the OBSBot Tail Air cameras. It also has the ability to connect to their webcams as well, like the OBSBot Tiny 2 and the Tiny 2 Lite. Great little webcams, which, by the way, technically you could just connect to here, run one of those up here. You'd have a zoomed out view with just a webcam. I know a lot of folks don't like that distance for any kind of focus, but if I'm just looking at the whole field, I'm not worried so much about pinpoint focus. I'm going to let my optical lens handle my pinpoint focus. So anyway, it is the OBSBot Talent, and one of the great things about the OBSBot Talent is it has, catch this and get it out of the way, it has a 1/4-20 mount on it, and it's light enough to mount on one of these arms. So it becomes another really good option for your mobile live stream, the one that you're trying to set up in the stands where you don't have a whole lot of extra space. And so when I get this here, go ahead and tighten that up there. Now, keep in mind, you do have to have your battery for the OBSBot Talent. And I didn't think to take my feet out of there. So let's take one of the feet out. Let's get a battery put in. Yeah. Now we'll power this up. And we have actually a whole different set of possibilities through the OBSBot Talent because it has the 2 HDMI inputs. So I could actually run both of these cameras HDMI into my Talent and do a wired setup there. It has 2 USB-A ports, so I could actually run whichever cameras I wanted to into the USB-A ports and have a wired setup through USB. It also has NDI, so if I want to run these particular cameras, both of them have NDI. My Nearstream VM46 has NDI as well. I can run any of the cameras that I brought to the ballpark today through this wirelessly through NDI if I want to, or I can wire them because everything is right here together. So it is a beautiful setup to have something so compact. OBSBot Talent, Mevo Core, OBSBot Tail Air, my Slate AXT travel router, this small rig tripod and ball arm mount. All the pieces that we have here together are going to allow me to set up in a very small footprint in the stands. I'm not obstructive. I do want to make sure that I'm up high enough. I'm on the second full row here. I'm probably about 4 foot from the walkway there, so I know I'm up high enough that Traffic that's below 7 foot tall is not going to come into my camera view. I'm going to be fine there. This is a great place for me to catch some really good football and stream it out to the folks that are back home.